Hare Krishna, everybody. We are glad to have the association of a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami. We welcome our Siksha Guru, His Grace Bhakti Yoga Prabhu. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu, please accept our humble obeisances. Many of you know Bhakti Yoga Prabhu. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu has been practicing Krishna consciousness for many decades, from around when he was 10 years of age or even younger. Prabhu has been very helpful to many devotees. Prabhu is going to guide us on two topics, spoken Sanskrit and how to take Darshan. His Grace Bhakti Yoga Prabhu is very approachable. Ask him every and all questions, even if your questions are beyond the Sanskrit and Darshan topics. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu, on to you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I am very happy to help in whatever little tiny way I can. So I thought we would start off with the pronunciation guide. So I have this volume of Bhagavad Gita. So if you have it, if you have the same one, I think everyone might have, you might want to turn to page 732.
Okay.
And
so,
there's a
some of the devotees have soft copies. So on the hard copy that Bhakti Yoga Prabhu showed is 732. And on the soft bound Bhagavad Gita, it is page 683. But you may have different pages. You are looking for Sanskrit pronunciation guide in your respective Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu.
Yes, so not just Bhagavad Gita, but any of Srila Prabhupada's books, as far as I remember, they all have Sanskrit pronunciation guides on the back. So if you happen to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, not in this class, but at your leisure, and you want to look at the pronunciation guide, you can find them on the back of all of Srila Prabhupada's books. Maybe not the little soft bound ones, the pocket books, but the bigger ones. So please feel free to take a look at that. So I don't know how many are on today. Let's see. We have 17 devotees on today. So I don't know if you're all familiar with the Sanskrit vowels and consonants. I know when I was a little boy, my parents sent me to learn Sanskrit, but I never really put too much attention to it because I thought, when would I ever use this? So later, I came in contact with devotees, and lo and behold, all the books that Srila Prabhupada gave us, almost all the books, are translations from Sanskrit. So those will come in handy. But I do remember my Sanskrit teacher had us say the vowels and consonants, so I remember them. So if you look at the first page in the pronunciation guide, and whichever edition of Bhagavad Gita you have, you'll see the vowels come first. So we have the Sanskrit lettering, I, U, ri, 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 a, I, o, ow. So you might notice there's an English letter beside each one, and the which is a short A, and the next one is which is a long A, and you'll notice the has a dash above it. So when you look at the transliteration of verses in the Bhagavad Gita, you will notice these, some A's don't have a dash and some has a dash. So in that case, you would pronounce that as a long A. The same thing with EE. So you'll see that the I's, so you have the I with a dot, which is a short E, and the I with the dash above it, which is the long E. So E. Same thing with the U's, oo. And then the Ri, it's an R with a dot under it. So it's Ri. Like if you're saying the word rim, so you'd say Ri. So it's Ri. And then the L with the dot under it is Luri. I'm trying to think of an English word. So it's kind of like an LR, it's Luri. And then E is pronounced as A. And then AI, O, ow. And then if you look at the
Bhakti Yoga Prabhu, Anish
yes.
Prabhu has a question, and I request
Sure.
all of you can also turn on your camera and make it interactive with Bhakti Yoga Prabhu. Anish Prabhu has a question.
Yes. So before you ask a question, Prabhu, I just want to say if anyone has a question, please don't wait till the end. Just ask it right away while whatever it is we're speaking about is fresh, so it has a little more impact. So yes, Prabhu, go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is the page you're talking about Index of Sanskrit Verses?
No, Anish Prabhu, you are looking for the page which is titled Sanskrit Pronunciation Guide.
Oh yeah, I found it. It's right after that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And everybody, please have your visual on for Bhakti Yoga Prabhu, so Bhakti Yoga Prabhu can see you, as well as make it interactive. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu will practice the pronunciation as we go along.
Yes. So Prabhu, do you have that page, the pronunciation guide?
Anish, you found it?
Yes, Prabhu, yeah.
Okay. So once again, the way we pronounce these are e, u, ri, luri, ai, o, ow. And when Srila Prabhupada kindly provided English transliteration for all of the Sanskrit shlokas that he translated from in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And same thing he did with Chaitanya Charitamrita from Bengali to English. So you have the English transliteration, and you will notice as you look at those, I'm sure you've noticed that already, that there are some words with like some A's with a dash above it. And some of you might have found the Sanskrit pronunciation guide and have gone through it. But sometimes it's good to go through it with others or as a group, because then if we had some doubts or we needed some clarification, etc., it's a good forum to ask that. So, and sometimes we learn from each other. No matter how long we've been at this, we can still learn from each other. You know, someone might have been practicing Krishna consciousness for many, many years, and yet we're not too old to learn. And we see that in a way when we read Bhagavad Gita, that sometimes we read and we get an understanding of the shloka or the translation or the verse or the purport. And then later on, you know, maybe months later or a year or two later, we go back and we read that very same verse, and we get a completely new understanding, or a more up-to-date, if you will, because we're always progressing spiritually. So sometimes where we're at now, I mean, mostly where we're at now is not where we will be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, if we continue with this process, right? So we will be making advancement. We might not readily notice that advancement, but if you haven't seen a devotee for 2 or 3 years, you know, sometimes devotees will comment, "Oh my God, you've learned so much," or "You know so much," or you know, if they're being honest with you, they'll say, "Yeah, I've seen that you've made some, you know, some great strides in your spiritual development or your spiritual path." So coming back to the shlokas, so when you see those shlokas, we would see these dashes and dots and etc. And sometimes we're not sure what they mean. So this is a good forum. So now if we look at the consonants, we'll go right to the semi-vowels. Ya, right down at the bottom. So I think everybody's book has each line of the consonant, ka, ka, ga, ga, na, etc. And then, so there are 4 lines of that. And then you go down to the 5th line and it's ya, ra, la, va. So sometimes you see when someone is translating Hindi into or a Sanskrit word into English, they might say it the same way they say it in Hindi, but it's not necessarily the correct pronunciation. So they might say wa, but it's actually va, right? So yara, lava, sha. Where you see an S, you see a little accent above the S, you pronounce that as sh, like we do in Krishna, right? And similarly, the dot under the S is also pronounced like that, sh, right? So we would never say Krishna, we say Krishna, right? So sha, sha, sa, ha. And then they have the anuswar, which has a dot above the M. And that's sometimes, depending on how it's used in a Sanskrit verse, it might be pronounced as an M, and sometimes it's pronounced as an N, right? So it depends on how the context and how it's used in the particular verse. And then we start the H with a dot under it. That's usually pronounced as aha, right? So you might see AH, so you pronounce that as aha. Or you see IH and it's pronounced as ihi. So sometimes we see that at the end of a shloka, the end of a line, it might end with an aha. Is there any questions at this point?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, can you please repeat Anuswara again?
So it's So like I said, sometimes it depends on the context and how it's used in a verse. Sometimes it's pronounced as it's pronounced as an M, sometimes it's pronounced as an N, but mostly it's an M. So it's like there's an A in front, but it's like a silent A. It says, or not necessarily silent, but sometimes depending, again, when we get to a verse, we will see it and you'll really understand what I mean. So then there's another word that
Sonam has a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I didn't
Prabhu.
see your hand up.
Oh, no problem. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I think I had the same question. I'll be able to understand better if you give example with a verse so
Yeah.
that we can pronounce side by side and see how it's working.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So we'll go there in a minute. I want to point out one other letter, and it's an N with a tittle above it. It's like a curly line above it. Right? So usually that letter, when you see that letter in a word, you'll pronounce it as nya, right? So it's like some Sanskrit scholars, they will pronounce it as like an NY, nya, right? Srila Prabhupada pronounced it as ya. So a perfect example of where you'd find that letter in a word is gyan, right?
Prabhu, that's sorry to disturb. Prabhu, that's why I'm going after 4.34. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadesh kshanti te gyanan. Now it's a gyanan, gyanam. It's gyanan, gyaninas tattva darshina. So
which shloka is that?
That's a 4.34.
434. Let me go to that verse.
Page 220 of hard copy, the one you have it.
Yeah. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti
Te Gyan.
te jnanam. So Srila Prabhupada pronounced Gyan the way I'm pronouncing it, Gyan. Some people who are very particular and they're deep into Sanskrit, they might pronounce it as Gyan, right? So neither one is wrong. But what Srila Prabhupada taught is, he said, is everything you need to know are in my books. You don't need to go to anyone else or consult any other books. Everything you need to know is there. So that being said, he also said, and I'm sure you've gone through this, he mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that there are 3 types of transcendentalists, right? The Jnani, the Yogi, and the Bhakta. So we are all striving to become Bhaktas. We are not trying to become Jnanis. Because the Jnani tend to not make it back home, back to Godhead. Because the Jnani is constantly looking for more and more and more knowledge, and they forget how to apply that knowledge, which means apply it in the service of Krishna. And then their life comes to an end and they never get a chance to apply it. So on the other hand, we are trying to be bhaktas. We're trying to develop one of the 5 relationships, which is dasyam. So we serve the Lord as a servant, right? We're trying to develop love for him as a servant of his. So we are more concerned about pleasing him, serving him and pleasing him, right? If you have a master that you're serving, your end result of that service is you want to please that person. Because if you please that person, they will keep you. But if you displease them, they will try to get rid of you. And so we might have all heard the story of Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat was conscripted to carry the palanquin of King Rahugana. But he was concerned about killing other living entities. So he was looking down as he walked to see if there were any ants. He didn't want to step on any other living entity and kill them. And so his service was not relishable by the king, and the king tried to get rid of him. But we'll not get into that story. It's a long, beautiful story, and there's a lot of knowledge in there that we can learn to and apply in our own everyday spiritual life. So we'll not get into that right now, but I use that example just to give you an idea. So we are trying to become servants of the Lord, not becoming a jnani or someone who is rich in knowledge but poor in execution of that knowledge. Right? So I thought we can start with if we go to the introduction. This is a shloka that devotees always, these are shlokas that devotees always recite. Om Jnana Timirandasya. So we get right at the beginning, at introduction, and there are many shlokas there, and especially the 3rd shloka on that page, you'll see there's a lot of opportunity to learn pronunciation, because there are many, many words there. The one that starts with Vandeham Shri Guru. So if we look at the first shloka, Om, so in this case, that's where that M with the dot above it is pronounced as an M, right? Not as an N. So I mentioned earlier that depending on the context it's used in. So Om is, as we all know, is the impersonal form of the Lord, the sound vibration of the Lord, the sound form of the Lord. So Om Ajnana, again, so Prabhupada, because we're following the founder Acharya of ISKCON, which is the society thus introduce us to Krishna consciousness, we follow the founder Acharya. Acharya means one who teaches by example. So we follow him by saying Gyan. But if someone wants to say Jnana, that's up to them. But mostly if you go to the temple and you sit and listen to classes, almost everyone, 99.9% of the devotees who are leading those classes will pronounce it as Gyan, just like Srila Prabhupada taught us. So for the purpose of that, and because we're following Srila Prabhupada and we don't know more than him, we will follow how he pronounced it. So we will say Gyan. Is that okay with everyone? If someone is not okay with that, let me
Gyan
know.
is okay.
Yeah, okay. So here you see the N with the tiddly, that they call that tiddly, that curly line. I learned that when I was in high school. I was growing up in South America. I was going to school and I had to learn Spanish. And so all these dashes and tiddles and accents and so on, I learned that when I was learning Spanish. So I was easily able to apply it, except their vowels were pronounced a little bit differently. So Om Agyana. So the N, the J with the N, you pronounce as Gya. And then you see the A with the dash above it. So that's a long A. Om Agyana. And the next A that comes at the end of that word is a short A. So we say it not longly, but shortly. if those are words. So Om Agyana.
Everybody can practice together with Bhakti Yoga Prabhu. So Bhakti Yoga Prabhu is pronouncing with the long A and the short A and the J N with the tiddly above it is Gya. So everybody can pronounce right now.
Okay, so let's start with just pronouncing Gya. Gya.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Just say it out. You can turn on your microphone if you want.
Gyan.
Gya.
Gyan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gyan.
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 Okay. So then the next word, Timirandasya. So you notice the first A is long and the others are short. So Timirandasya.
Timirandasya.
TH is pronounced as the or the. Timirandas.
Dhas. Timirandasya. The H is pronounced. It's not dropped. So Om Agyana Timirandasya.
Om Agyana
Timirandasya.
I heard someone didn't say the long A in Timirandasya. So Om Agyana Timirandasya.
Om
Agyana
Timirandasya.
Om Agyana Timirandasya.
Om Agyana.
So, sometimes when we speak to a child, we try to speak sweetly to that child, especially when we want them to learn something. Because if you speak harshly to them, they might not take it. Or anybody for that matter, not just child, even an adult. You speak harshly to them, they might not want to necessarily listen to you after that. So to get them to do something or to say something or to act in a certain way, we have to act in deal with them in a sweet way. So when we approach Krishna and we're reciting these shlokas, we want to recite them in a sweet way that we want to attract him, right? He's the all attractive, right? Krishna means all attractive. So we want to attract him. So when we are saying the shlokas, we instead of just making it sound like you're just reciting a verse, like it's a recital. No, we want to add some bhav, some emotion into it. So there are different ways that we can say this shloka, but my favorite way is Om Jnana Timirandasya.
Om
Jnana-Timirandasya.
And then the next word has two gyas in it. Jnananjana.
Jnana.
Jnananjana.
Jnana.
Jnananjana.
Jnana.
So you notice how we pronounce the first two A's as long A's and the second two A's as short A's? Everyone notice that? Jnananjana.
Jnana.
Jnananjana.
Jnana.
And then now the next, sorry?
It is Jnananjana or it's Jnananjana? It's Jnananjana.
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 Jnananjana. So if you all remember when you're in little children and you're in school and the teacher is trying to teach you a word, they say break it down into syllables. So it's easy to pronounce the word. So we can do the same here. We say Jnananjana.
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 Jnana.
And so when we are learning shlokas, this is a good way to master the way it's pronounced by breaking down the syllables. And then once you've got, because sometimes when we try to say it fast, it comes out wrong. So we break it down into the syllables, Jnananjana. And then as we become familiar, then we can speed that up and make it like making it sound like an actual word instead of just a bunch of syllables. So Jnananjana Shalakaya. So you notice the S, the S, there's an accent above the S. So in this case, we pronounce that S as sh. So Shalakaya.
Shalakaya.
Shalakaya. Not Sha, but Sha. So because that's a short A, right? There's no a line above the A. Sometimes we tend to be in a hurry and say it, and then it could mean something else. So for example, the word puja means to worship, right? And sometimes you'd hear devotees say, I'm going to Guru Puj. And they drop the A, but that word puj means something completely different. Right? So puj means excrement. So we don't want to say puj, right? So we want to say puja, right? So the reason why Srila Prabhupada was a Sanskrit scholar, and when you see he put an A at the end of a word, that A should be pronounced, whether it's a long A or a short A, but it should be pronounced, it shouldn't be dropped. So in Hindi, people tend to drop that A on the end, right? Prime example is Arjuna. They would say Arjun, and they completely drop the A on the end. Or Kamsa, they will drop the A, they say Kams. Right? Or even Krishna, they drop the A on the end, they say Krishan. Right? But the A needs to be pronounced. And Krishna is different than the feminine version of Krishna, which is Krishna. So Draupadi was sometimes called Krishna. That was one of her names. So it's a long A, or Ram and Rama.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that why certain people are named like Krishnan instead of like Krishna? Because they drop the A?
So that's in South. They tend to add an N on the end for some reason. So they say Krishnan, or they say Pujan, or they say Abhishekam.
Yeah.
Right? So they tend to add an N or an M on the end, and it may have to do with their the language that they're from, like the language they speak. As we know,
Yes.
there are many languages in South India, and it could be a carryover from that. Like I mentioned with Hindi, people tend to drop the A on the end, right? So Namataji,
Yeah.
you have a question?
Yes, Prabhu. You said that when we say Krishna, it is the small a. But when we
Yes.
chant Hare Krishna, we say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So then it should be the long a there, right?
No, we don't say that. Some people say that, but it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We don't say Krishna, Krishna, Hare. Sometimes devotees will chant that way. But Prabhupada said there's no hard. The idea is I mentioned at the prelude, that we are trying to develop a devotion, a relationship with the Lord in the form of being a servant rather than being one of the three transcendentalists, which is a jnani. So a jnani wants to learn everything, and he or she wants to make it as perfect as they possibly can. But we all know, if we've read Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami said, mentions there that we are imperfect, right? We have 4 defects, right? So we tend to make mistakes. So as long as we possess these material bodies, we are guaranteed to make mistakes. Srila Prabhupada said that. I can't think of the quote right now. Srila Prabhupada said that as long as we have these material bodies, even when we're in devotional service, we're guaranteed to make mistakes. But it's the intention. What is our intention? Is our intention good, or is our intention bad? Right? So in the case of someone chanting Hare Krishna, saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, their intention is, I want to engage in service of Lord Krishna. So this is what Krishna sees. He sees what is coming from within, right? Not necessarily what might be coming out. We might make a mistake. Or sometimes we're having a discussion with someone and someone pronounces a word wrong, and we just look beyond that and we continue to listen and converse with that person, not point out every little mistake. Oh, you said that word wrong. Oh, this word is used in this context. It wouldn't make for a good friendship or a good communication session with that person.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Anyone else? Yep. Okay, so Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya
Om
So-
Ajnanatimirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
So I noticed some of us are saying it slower. So this is actually good because it helps us to focus on the pronunciation. Because like I said, we want the pronunciation to be as close to accurate as possible, because if we pronounce it wrong, it might mean something else. So we don't want that. So chakshur. So now we see that S with the dot under it. That's pronounced as a sh as well. So chakshur.
Sure.
Chakshur. And now we get into the eyes, right? Unmi. See the I with the dash above it? It's not me, but me. It's a long I. It's like E, right? Unmilitam yena.
Unmilitam yena.
And you see the E is pronounced as A and the A is pronounced as A. Right? It's A, E, U, Ri. Right? So A, E. So chakshur unmilitam yena.
Chakshur unmilitam yena.
Tasmai Shri.
Tasmai
Shri.
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 I hear somebody saying Sri. but it's
Gaurav.
Shri.
Shri.
So again, when you see the accent above the S, you pronounce it as sh, like if you're telling a child, shoe, right? Sh. So Shri, and the
Shri.
I with that with the dash above it is a long I. It's E, right? So Shri,
Shri.
Shri,
Shri.
Shri.
Shri. Gurave. So you see the U. The U is pronounced as U. Gurave.
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 Yeah, you remember I, E, U. So if it's a U, it's U. It's like two O's. Like O, sorry. And if it's a U with a dash above it, it's two O's. U. Right? So Gurave.
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 Okay. And then here you have Namaha.
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 Right? So
Namaha.
Tasmai
the
Shri
H,
Gurave Namaha.
yeah, the H with the dot under it is Aha. So
Ah.
Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
So if you sometimes if you go on YouTube and you'd find people are pronouncing Sanskrit shlokas, there's a lot of South Indian pundits sometimes, and you hear them, they're really pronouncing those ahas and ihis, etc. Pragya Mataji, do you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji, just wanted to know the word is Guruve or Guruve, because the word is Guru, right?
Yeah, Gurave. Gurave. Gurave.
This is nothing to do with Guru, because the
It is Guru, yeah. But when you put it in a sentence, that's how it's pronounced.
when you say Ra, it sounds like that Ra with the bindi, ladka wala Ra. It is not that, because this Devanagari is not available here, so it's only in English.
Yeah, so it's Gurave. Gurave.
Gurave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're basically offering obeisances to Guru.
Gurave.
It's not.
Yeah. The translation of that shloka is, I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances to him. So the spiritual master is the English word for guru. So my guru opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. Right? I offer my obeisances to him. You find that there are many words sometimes in some of these shlokas where if you were to parse that word out in the verse, it's different than when you actually look at the word for word translation, because then it'll give you, and we can look at that. We can actually, let's look at that now. So let's go to I hear in the kitchen, many of you are learning Dehinosmin yata dehe. So I think that might be an appropriate one. Yeah. So let me see if yeah, so that very first word. So if you go to page 78, those who have the same book that I do, or go to shloka number 213. So you see, in terms of making Krishna, sometimes they say Krishna is a poet, right? So Krishna is saying these words and he's slightly changing them so that it sounds nicely, almost like a song, or make it sound a little bit sweeter when he is actually saying it, rather than when you actually break down the word now for translation. So the very first word, dehino, right? If you look at, if you look at the word for word translation, Srila Prabhupada put dehina. It's the same word. But when Krishna is saying it, he's saying it this way to make it sound sweeter, right? There's a very famous verse that devotees will recite when they're when they're referring to in class, sometimes you hear it, and they're trying to refer to a Mahajan. You know, there are 12 spiritual authorities, 12 Mahajans, and that shloka goes like this. Oh, I just went blank. Swayambhuva Narado, right? Narado, Shambhu, Pralado, Janako, Bhishmo, right? All of them, like Bhishma Dev, we know his name is Bhishma. But in that shloka, Yamaraj is saying Bhishmo. He says, Swayambhuva Narado. He didn't say Narada. We know Narad Muni, his name is Narada Muni. So he didn't say Narada, he said Narado. This shloka is actually spoken by Yamaraj, who is one of the 12 Mahajans. Then he's speaking to the Yamadutas. So he says, Swayambhuva Narado Shambhu, Pralado Janako Bhishmo. Swayambhuva Narado Shambhu, Kaumaro. So he's talking about the 4 Kumaras. He said Kaumaro. Swayambhuva Narado Shambhu, Kaumaro, Kaumaro. And so like that, yeah.
I have it on screen, Prabhu.
There you go. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu, Kaumara Kapilo Manu, Pralado Janako Bhishmo, Balir Vayasakir Vayam. And Vayam just basically means myself. He's referring to, this is Yamaraj referring to himself. So he's saying Vayam. So you see those words, like those names, Bhishmo. He's saying Bhishmo, meaning Bhishma Dev. Pralado means Pralad Maharaj. Right? I see we have a couple of hands up.
Sonam has a question.
Sonam Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. My question was in the sorry, and let me just go to the verse. So Om Ajnana Timirandasya, in this verse, there is S with an apostrophe at the top, and there is S with a dot at the bottom. So both are pronounced in the same way, which is sh.
Yeah. Sh. Like that. Not sha.
So both are same technically.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
So we see that in Krishna as well. The word Krishna, K-R-S-N-A, there's a dot under S. Krishna. Okay. So if we want to, Anish Prabhu, you have a question?
Yeah, before we go any further, like how did we learn Sanskrit? Like who gave us who created Sanskrit basically?
Krishna. This is it's actually the Krishna created it. This is why you hear it's called Devanagari. Dev means Devatas. Right? The Devatas in the heavenly planets, they're speaking Sanskrit. They don't speak any other language but Sanskrit. So it's the same Sanskrit.
Yeah,
the same
but I don't
Sanskrit.
mean to. Yeah, I don't mean to go off. Yeah, I don't mean to go off topic, but certain Western scholars, they like to say that a group of people called the Aryans bring Sanskrit over from Iran and stuff.
Yeah, so I wouldn't listen to these people because they say that Mahabharata is fictional. It's mythology.
Yeah.
A lot of scriptures that were written 500 years BC because they have their own narrative that they were trying. Their idea when they went to India was to convert everyone to Christianity.
Yeah.
Make everyone like them, right? And so by doing that, they completely disregard everything that our complete history and culture. They try to break it down.
Like basically what our scriptures said, they tried doing.
Yeah, they try to undo it. And when they find stuff that he can't explain, they're silent.
Yeah.
Right? So they said, oh, this Krishna was some mythological figure. And then later on, they found the sunken city of Dwarka, and now they're
Yeah,
silent.
yeah.
Right? They say that this Ram Leela is fictional, and when they found the bridge to Lanka, they're silent.
Yeah,
Their own satellites found it,
yeah,
and they found the floating stones,
yeah.
big giant rocks that are floating, and they have no explanation for it, so they just keep silent. So I wouldn't listen to them. They don't necessarily know what they're talking about. They're inventing rocket ships now. We've had them for centuries, for millennia. They call Viman. So let's not worry about them so much. But yeah, it's good to know where Sanskrit come from. And so it's called Devanagari. And so the demigods, the Devatas, they're speaking Sanskrit. So so let me say that entire first shloka. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Right? So at our leisure, if we try to practice saying the words and we do it slowly, practice makes perfect. So after a while, we'll become perfect at it. Right? Any other questions or comments? I know I tend to go over sometimes, but I'm trying to keep within the time. So we only have 6 minutes left for this session. So any questions or comments or clarification?
No worries for time, Prabhu. You can go take your time as much as you require. Even if we go over, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions or comments? So yes.
Is it possible? I heard lots of time Rajesh Prabhu read this in introduction in the beginning, but is there any audio that we can recite and listen to it and recite it and practice it while we can read at the same time? If it's available.
Oh, you mean like a pronunciation, like a slow version of the?
Yes.
I'm not aware of any. There might be something on the internet because the devotees are putting things on all the time. So there might be something there, but I'm not, right off the bat, I'm not aware of any.
So Vimal Prabhu, when you come for services or even when you are driving or etc., you can practice. I mean, I can always record small verses at a time and give it to you. I mean, you always have the class recording where I recite it every day. So you can listen to those and try to practice one at a time. And you will notice that in the other batches, meaning the batch number 1, 2, and 3, devotees now recite the invocation prayers. So you will also all be reciting those, so you can start practicing now.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so what I think.
Pragya has a question.
Yes. Oh, yes, Mataji.
You're
on mute.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Just wanted to know these invocation verses, where are they from? And why are they not there in Devanagari? Because I am, my mother tongue is Hindi, and so I understand Devanagari. So I was just wondering whether we have the Devanagari version of these invocation verses.
I'm sure they're somewhere. I haven't seen them. These Srila Prabhupada put here, and they would have come from our parampara. Some acharya up the line coined some of these mantras. We would have to do some digging to find where they are. I'm sure there was Devanagari version of them.
But again, as Yoga Prabhu said, that we are not trying to become a jnani, we are trying to become bhakta. So it's more about what Prabhupada has given us in the books is what we require, rather than trying to go beyond what Prabhupada has given. But what Prabhupada is saying, yes, they are available. For example, the Krishna prayers and Taptakancha Gaurangi Srimati Radharani prayers. For sure, they are available in other scriptures in Devanagari. But we go what Prabhupada has given us for our purification.
So the importance of these shlokas is not merely to just recite them like parrots, memorize them and say, oh, look at me, I know 5 million shlokas or whatever, or I can read Bhagavad Gita cover to cover, I have it all memorized. The idea is to read it, hear it, internalize it, and then try to see how we can put this into practice in our everyday life. That is the idea. It's not to read them so that we know a million verses, or not to read them. And I'm not saying anybody here is doing that. I'm just saying that that's the idea. That's what we were taught by Srila Prabhupada. Put this into practice, right? So he called the society International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So it means our consciousness should always be surcharged in a thought of Krishna. That's the end goal. That should be our practice. So if we practice that daily, then we will perfect that at some point, if we are sincere. So sincerity is very important in devotional service. Sometimes you see if someone is writing a letter to someone else and they want that person to understand or know that I really mean what I'm saying, they will sign it sincerely, so and so. That I am being very sincere. I mean every single word that I say. So it gives that person on the other end. As we know nowadays with phone, you're talking to someone on the phone, the tone that you use might not be what you intended it to be. The other person might take it a different way. Not with the talking, but with the typing, the texting. When you text something to someone, your intention might be different than what the other person understood, because the tone is not there. They're not seeing or hearing you say it face to face. So it might come across as being harsh or callous or whatever, right? So the whole idea is to not just to pronounce or recite the Sanskrit, but also whatever our mother tongue is, whether it's Hindi or English or whatever it is, try to understand the meaning and keep that in mind. So you would hear devotees, when they give a class, they will recite this verse, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana, and then when they're finished, they will say the English, right? I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So Srila Prabhupada was tasked with spreading this message in English in the Western world. So Prabhupada took every opportunity to give, this is why you can find so many classes by Srila Prabhupada in English. He took every opportunity to spread this message in English. And so when Srila Prabhupada went back to India for the first time, I think it was the second time, there was a lot of Pandal programs arranged everywhere. And one time Srila Prabhupada was in Gujarat, and there was this huge Pandal program, and there were thousands and thousands of people sitting, waiting to hear Srila Prabhupada speak. And Srila Prabhupada, he chanted Jaya Radha Madhava, and he said these prayers, Om Jnana, etc. And then when he finished, before he started the class, he turned around and spoke to all and in those days it was mostly Western devotees. He turned around and he spoke to them. He said, I'm very sorry. Normally I would speak in English, but if I did this today, all of these people that are here will not understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to give today's lecture in English, in Hindi. He says, however, if you pay full attention, you will get the exact same benefit as if you heard it in English. So this is how powerful this Krishna's name is and Krishna's message, that even if you don't understand it, right? And this goes back to trying to pronounce these, trying to be Gyanis. If we're a Gyani, we will never understand Krishna. Right? We will always try to figure out why this, why that, how this, how that. We will never understand him. But if we accept it, yes. Like there was some devotees were sitting having a discussion, and another devotee came to the gathering. And he said, yes, I just came back from seeing Lord Krishna. And they said, what was Krishna doing? And he said, Krishna was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And the Gyanis in the group was saying, how is that possible? How can you thread an elephant, a giant elephant, through a little tiny hole in a needle? But the bhaktas, the devotees, says, yes, this is Krishna. He can, nothing is impossible for him. He can do whatever, right? So there you're seeing the difference between Gyanis and Bhaktas. They understand Krishna can do anything. And so we see that. There was one incarnation of the Lord where he came as a little boy, a little dwarf Brahmin, right? And within moments, he was so gigantic. And it was in that incarnation that the Ganga came to the material world. But that's a whole different story. So
Anish Prabhu has a question.
Yes, Anish Prabhu.
But isn't it important to know like why Krishna is doing certain things? Because the story just said, I remember reading it. It was like a Brahmin and a shoe cleaner, and Krishna and Narayan came to the shoe cleaner, and he showed what Krishna was doing to the shoe cleaner. But then the Brahmin never believed him because he was so prideful of himself and his status. And so like Krishna would say later on that like the Brahmin would get enlightenment after 5 years, but the shoe cleaner right after this life, because he fully believes in Krishna, will get like liberation after this life.
Right. And so that's what the message is from that story. Every story has a message. Just like one time in Krishna Leela, Lord Krishna had a headache. And they asked Krishna, how can we alleviate this headache? What can we do? And Krishna said, if you get the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees and put it on my head, my headache will go away. So now they started,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. So everyone knows that story. So, yes, it's our understanding, right? And so again, if we are trying to be Gyanis and we're trying to gain more and more knowledge, we will never understand Krishna. But if we try to serve him, then we will understand him. So this is what Srila Prabhupada taught us, how to serve Krishna. There are those 5 types of relationships one can have with Krishna. And so as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we are trying to understand Krishna and serve Krishna as a servant. Not as a friend, not as a lover, not as any others, but as a servant.
Subhra Prabhu has a question.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have a question. So how I always face difficulty in pronouncing the second paragraph, first line, and what Vaishnavamscha. So if you can guide me like how to correctly pronounce that.
Which one, which shloka are you talking about?
The introduction, the third paragraph. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha. I am struggling on that part. If you can guide like how to pronounce that.
So it's Vaishnavamscha. Vaishnavamscha. So they hear that S with the accent over it. It's a sh. Vaishnavamscha.
Vaishnavamscha.
Vaishnavamscha. It's a long A. It's right?
Okay.
Vaishnavamscha. So if you were to look at the Devanagari, you would see the thing, the lettering that looks like a 3 with 2 lines at the end. I'm just trying to visualize it in my head. It looks like a 3 with 2 lines at the back, like 311. Right? So it's Vaish. So you see the first S is a sh.
Yeah.
Vaishnavamscha. Vaish. So if you break it down into syllables, it makes it easier. Vaishnavamscha.
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 Navamsh.
Navamsh. Okay.
Yeah, Navamsh. So Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunatam Hitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. And here that verse Vikash Vishakam Vitamscha again. It's like that one that you were asking about earlier, Prabhu. Vitamsh. Right? Vishaka Vitamscha. So any questions or comments?
Prabhu, I have a question. Prabhu, in this verse, there are some words where M or N have a dot and where they don't have a dot. And they are pronounced in the same way. So there is no difference basically.
Yeah, it depends on the context and how it's used, right? In the shloka, how it flows.
Okay, so I'm not able to understand then what is the relevance of that dot here if it doesn't.
Actually those dots on the M's and the N's are not as important or as pronounceable as the other markings, like the A with the dashes and the titles and so on. The M and the N one is not, it's so indistinguishable that it doesn't matter so much. Right? There is some little idiosyncratic ways of saying it. Again, we're not trying to be scholars, right? We're just trying to be devotees and using our love, trying to put that love and devotion out to the Lord, right? That verse, Patram Pushpam, he says, offer to me with love and devotion, right? It's the love and the devotion that he's looking for. Prema and Bhakti. This is what Krishna is looking for. He doesn't want the fruit, flower, leaf, or water. He already owned, that's all his. He created those. Those are there. But he cannot create our love for him. He cannot create our devotion to him. So that is what we're contributing to the mix. When we're doing an offering, when we prepare some bhoga and we bring it to the altar and we're making an offering, he provided all of the ingredients and we're providing the love and devotion in that offering.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, should we go into the taking darshan?
Yeah.
So if we visualize when we go to the temple, We're in the hallway in the Toronto temple. So before we enter the temple room, out of courtesy, we should make some sound. Either we clap our hands softly like this 3 times, or we knock on the door frame before we enter the temple. So the temple is the home of the Lord, right? Sometimes the temple is called Thakur Bhari. So Thakur is Lord Krishna, Bhari means home, his home. So before, just like with an ordinary person, if you go to their room or their door, their house, you will knock on the door. You don't just open the door and walk in. Even if you're married and you're living away from home and you go visit your parents, it's your father's and mother's home. You don't just open the door and walk in, right? You would knock on the door. Or if they're in their bedroom, you don't just open the door and barge in. You just knock first. So it shows it's just common courtesy. So similarly, when we're going to the Supreme Person's home, we need to make some sound before we enter. So we knock or we clap our hands softly 3 times to get their attention, and then we enter. So when we enter, we first go to Guru. So the Srila Prabhupada is there. So according to Vedic scripture, we should always keep spiritual power to our left. So when we go to Srila Prabhupada, we get down and we offer obeisances. We offer with keeping Srila Prabhupada to our left side. Right? So if for men, it's considered, it's recommended that we offer dandavats. So danda is you see sannyasis carry a stick, a straight stick. That's called a danda. So, which means we should offer obeisances straight, lying on the floor, full dandavats. So we offer obeisances like that. For Matajis, it's recommended that obeisances should be offered using the method called Panch Anga. So Panch means 5, Anga means limb. So you touch 5 limbs to the ground. For men, older devotees who cannot do the full dandavat because they're old or they have some medical restriction or something like that, then they can also offer doing Panch Anga, which is you bend down, touching your 2 knees, your 2 elbows, and your head to the ground. So kind of like in a crouching position. And then for those who, for whatever medical reasons, they can't even get down on the floor, they can offer pranam style like this. So this is a mudra called a pranam mudra, right? So we offer pranam style, standing up. And then we go to Shri Shri Gaurnitai. And again, we offer obeisances, the same method that we would offer to Srila Prabhupada. And then to Shri Shri Radhakir Chor Gopinath, and then to Sri Jagannath, Sri Baladev, and Srimati Subhadra Mara. So it's recommended that when we go to the Lord, we don't first look him directly in the face. We start from the lotus feet. So if any of us have read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto, Lord Kapila Dev, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, appeared as the son of Devahuti and Kardamba Muni. So Lord Kapila Dev explained to Mother Devahuti how one should take darshan of the Lord when they go before him. So we start from his lotus feet, and then he explained that the lotus toenails of the Lord are like jewels. So we first start, and you see Krishna makes it very easy for us. He has his lotus feet are very prominent there. We can see, as we can see in this picture, and you can actually see the first 2 toenails If there wasn't a flower there, you'd probably see even more. So we start with the lotus feet, and then slowly we lift our eyes to his calf, and then to his thighs, and then to his waist. And there we see generally Krishna is wearing a belt of some sort. Also in his waist, he sometimes have his flute stuck in his waist, or he would have a horn, like a buffalo horn, hanging from his waist. And so when Krishna and the cowherd boys go out to take the calves for grazing, Krishna would sometimes blow that horn, or he would sometimes he would play his flute. So he generally keeps his flute stuck in his waist. That's the way he carried them, not in his hands. And then we slowly lift our eyes to his chest. So most times Krishna is not wearing a shirt. Here Krishna is wearing a shirt because, it's probably winter and we don't want him to shiver and get cold. So this is the personal relationship that the pujari or the devotee has with the Lord, that we're always thinking, not for our own welfare or our own comfort, but the comfort of the Supreme Lord. Is it warm enough on the altar, or is it cool enough in the summertime? If it's too cold, what can we do to have the Lord, give the Lord some comfort? So sometimes if you come from Mangal Arti in the middle of winter, you might see Gopinath and Radharani wearing, devotees will crochet some shawl or something that they would be wearing to keep them warm. Sometimes we see that with Srila Prabhupada in the temple room. They would put a shawl over his shoulder in the temple room. You might even see that in the wintertime, just before you leave the temple on the Sunday program. If you're there very late, let's say 9:30, you might be there when the devotee comes by and put a shawl on Prabhupada, or you might not have noticed, but it was put on and it's on. Or if you come from Mangal Arti in the middle of winter, you might see that. So, but mostly Lord Krishna is without a shirt. And then we can see the Kaustuba gem on his chest. And Krishna, you can differentiate Lord Krishna from any Vishnu, any form of Lord Vishnu, because Krishna has this clump of gray hair on his chest that no other form of the Lord has. So you can easily differentiate who is who. And then you see his armlets. So he wear these jewels around his biceps, and or around his wrist. And then slowly you move your eyes to his lotus neck, and then up to his lips. And sometimes Krishna is smiling with his mouth open, and he described that Krishna's teeth looks like pearl. And then slowly up to his lotus eyes, and then up to his head, and you see his helmet. So he describes that his eyes are darting from left to right, and they look like two fishes swimming in a pond. And then around his neck is a Vaijanti mala. So it's a mala made out of forest flowers. So this Krishna is wearing this garland made of forest flowers that extend all the way down to his knees. And the flowers are so fragrant, even they're not on the tree, they're still just as fragrant or even more fragrant than when they're on the tree. And there are many bumblebees buzzing around, maddened by the scent of the nectar that's in the flowers. And so, like this, we should take darshan of the Lord and just meditate on every part of his body as we slowly work our way from his feet all the way up to his lotus face. And so this is the way that Lord Kapila Dev is describing to Mother Devahuti how one should take darshan of the Lord. Any questions or comments?
Prabhuji?
Yes.
So generally, many times when you look at Sri Krishna's eyes, he's not looking at you. Is it how it is made, the Krishna statue is made? And the other thing is this, the scarves that he has, means that's part of his attire, right?
Yeah. So first of all, when we referring to Lord Krishna, we never refer to him as it, right? Because it implies an inanimate object. Like my phone is, you say it, right? It's something inanimate. But if you're referring to a person, you never refer to that person as it. Like if you're referring to somebody standing next to you or in the same room with you, you never refer to that person as it. You always refer them to that person as he or she, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So that's being more personal. So Lord Krishna, we never refer to Lord Krishna as it, because Lord Krishna's form, his vigraha, is actually Lord Krishna himself. It's not a statue, right? So this is not a statue that we're looking at. Statues we find in the parks. You go to Queen's Park, you'll see many statues there with bird passing stool on them. So that's what a statue is. But Krishna, in our scriptures, it describes different incarnations of the Lord, right? So we have different categories of incarnations. There's Purusha avatars. So the three forms of Lord Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Karanodakashaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, they fall in a category of Purusha avatar. Then there's Yuga avatar. So Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu falls in a category of Yuga avatar, where for this Yuga, the Lord appeared. Or maybe sometimes Kalki, Lord Kalki, who is yet to appear, is called Yuga avatar for Kali Yuga. Lord Buddha is not called a Yuga avatar, even though he appeared in Kali Yuga. He falls in a different category, which is called Shaktyavesha avatar, is an empowered incarnation of the Lord, right? So there are different categories. So the category that Radha Kirchor Gopinath falls under, that we are looking at right now on our screen, is called Archa Vigraha. So that is a category of incarnation of the Lord in the form of either wood or stone or oil painting or or sand, like any form of the Lord that someone crafts. This is called Archa Vigraha. Archa means worshipable, Archa, and Vigraha means form. So when a deity is carved, there is generally, before worship, there's an installation ceremony, which is called Pran Pratishta. So pran means breath, right? So if anyone has ever witnessed the Pran Pratishta, you will see the pujari or the devotees doing, they will take their thread, their janeo, they will wrap it around their thumb like this, and they will take what's called akshat. Akshat is rice mixed with haldi, and they take some with these three fingers, these two fingers and the thumb. So like this, they will pick up some akshat. And then there are mantras that are recited, and all the Brahmins that are there, they will touch the heart of the deity with this akshat and their janeo, and they will recite this mantra. And this is the process of transferring Paramatma from within the heart. As we all know, Paramatma resides within our heart. So transfer Paramatma into the body of the deity. And so when we chant the mantra, we're chanting that the Lord is now being transferred into the body of the deity, and now he starts to breathe. So it's called Pran Pratishta, where now the deity now begins to breathe. Now this deity is ready for worship. So when we do something like that, sometimes we might not do it in a formal way like that, of wrapping the thread and holding the akshat in your fingers and etc. But because devotees never worship stone, so even if we were to go to India and we go to Vrindavan or some other place, Jaipur or somewhere else, and we brought deities with us, the minute we start worshiping those deities, our understanding that Lord Krishna is there in this form, and he will reciprocate our worship to him. He will reciprocate our offerings to him. So he will, when we put the offering in front of him, he is not limited like us, where we have to eat with our mouth. Lord Krishna can eat with his eyes. He can eat with his ears. He can eat with his nose. So how does he eat with his ears? By hearing the mantras that we recite when we're making the offering. And just by hearing those mantras, he can accept that offering. And that offering now becomes prasad. He can smell that offering with his nostrils, this fragrant fruits and food that we offer. And by just basically smelling the fragrance, he becomes satisfied and he accepts. He can accept it by looking at it with his eyes. And we might have examples of that. We might be fasting, fully fasting, including from water. We're doing a complete nirjal fast. But while we're fasting, we cook for the Lord. And we cook with the love and thinking that I'm going to cook this nice, wonderful offering, and I will offer it to the Lord and he will accept it. And I'm sure all of us have noticed this. We do that cooking, and then at the end of the offering and everything, we can't eat because we don't feel hungry anymore. I'm sure you've all experienced this, right? So if that can happen to ordinary persons like us, why cannot not happen with the Supreme Lord? Why can he not just look at something and accept it, or hear the mantra and the bell rung and accept it, or smell it and accept it? But he can also taste it if he wants, right? So there's a beautiful story of this Brahmin who every day his wife will cook and he will take the food to the temple and he'll offer it to the Lord, and his little son would come with him. And one day the Brahmin was sick and he couldn't go. He was bedridden that day. And the wife cooked and she gave it to the son, and she said, okay, today you have to go and offer it. So he had previously asked his father what he was doing, and the father said, I ring the bell, I say the prayers, and the Lord eats the food. So when the little boy's turn came, and he put the food in front of the Lord, he closed his eyes, he rung the bell, and he said the prayer, and he opened his eyes, and the full plate of food is still there. So then he closed his eyes, and he tried it a second time, and again the food was there, and a third time, and again the food was there. And so he started crying. And when he started crying, the Lord, the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, spoke to him, and he says, why are you crying? And then the boy said, because I made this offering to you and you wouldn't accept it. And then the Lord said, well, I did accept it. He says, well, you didn't, because it's still here. So then the boy said, then the Lord said, well, I can't eat because I am in the form of stone. And then the little boy said, well, if you can speak, you can eat. So then the deity of the Lord came off the altar. He sat on the floor, and he ate the entire offering of the little boy. So this is the sincerity of the boy. His sincerity made the Lord personally accept his offering. But before the Lord personally accepted the offering, the Lord had already accepted the offering just from the love and devotion that the little boy gave when he made the offering in the first place. Right? So this is the thing. Sometimes we might think that the Lord is not looking at us, but he sees us. See, he sees us. Srila Prabhupada said that we should act in such a way that Krishna sees us. So Krishna sees all of us. He sees us. We may think that he doesn't see, but he sees. He's looking at everyone all at once. So we may be standing down in the bottom of the temple, and he is sitting on the altar, and he's at a higher level than us there. And it may appear that he is not seeing us or he's not looking at us, but he's looking at us. Fear not, because if he wasn't looking at us, we could never go there again. If he doesn't want us to come, we can never enter. And to give you an example, many of us travel to the temple from long distances to come and see Lord Krishna. And there are people who live just across the street from the temple on Avenue Road, on Roxborough Street there. Just across the street, there are many houses. And those people cannot come in. They're not fortunate enough to come in. And here we are coming from long distances, and we're having the good fortune of coming in. So Krishna sees all of us, and Krishna sees the devotion, and he gives us the facilities, and he allows us to come and be with him in his presence. So we should never think that these forms that we're looking at are statues or stones or wood or whatever. We should see that this is the Lord himself is standing here. And he's standing there waiting for us. He's standing there to give darshan to us so that we can get darshan of him. This is why he's there. So we should never think that what I'm doing is useless or doesn't have any effect. It does. And when we look at it from the perspective of the example I just gave of people who are fortunate enough to live across the street, but unfortunate to the point where they cannot come in. That is very telling, right? They're very fortunate. Sometimes the devotee said, I wish I could live right close to the temple, right? But they're even more fortunate. They don't live close to the temple, but they're so fortunate that they're able to come in and see the Lord face to face. And there are people who live across the street close to the temple, yet they cannot come in. The door is open from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day. The door is open. They can come in at any time. No one's stopping them. There's no chokidar standing there saying, no, you cannot enter. They can enter, but they're not fortunate enough to enter. So I noticed while I was speaking earlier, there were two flashes across the screen. I think two devotees had questions.
Tonam?
Yes, yes, Prabhu, I have a question. So
Yeah.
two questions here. You said that Lord Shri Krishna is different from the other forms, Vishnu forms, because of his chest. So I didn't get that part clearly. And the second question was, Pragya mentioned about some scars on Krishna's body. So I don't see any scars.
Okay, so first question. So it mentioned that the Lord always have two gems around his neck, right? And one is called Kashtuba, and what's the other one called? Anyone knows? Swayamtaka, right? So the Kashtuba gem is actually a big tuft of, like a clump of gray hair on the chest of the Lord. Even though Lord Krishna is, Swayamtaka. Even though Lord Krishna is described as being forever 16 years old, he always looked like a 16-year-old boy. But you can differentiate him from any other form because the Lord himself, Swayam Bhagavan, has a tuft of a clump of gray hair on his chest. And secondly, regarding you said wounds or scars. I don't know what those are. I haven't seen any scars on Krishna.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu, I just wanted to get that part right because I was not sure how there are scars and there was some mention, so I just clarified that.
So in Bhagavad Gita, in Mahabharata, when Lord Krishna was driving Arjuna's chariot, sometimes he got some arrows were directed to him, accidentally falling on him. And he would have had some little wounds, but there's no scars on the Lord's body that I'm aware of. I've never heard or read that anywhere. Anyone
Thank you,
else?
Prabhu.
Shivangi?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I had a question. Are we supposed to take darshan of Radharani and Krishna the way that you had described from the lotus feet up to the face, or
Yes. Yes. The exact same for Radharani as well. Although Radharani is wearing a big skirt, so you can't really, we shouldn't really think of seeing her legs and all of this, but those thoughts shouldn't enter our head. But we can look at and marvel at her beautiful outfit and her decorations that she's wearing.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Vimal Prabhu?
Prabhu, I'm pretty new to the temple, especially Toronto temple, and I'm growing up seeing only Shri Krishna and Shri Radharani. But when I came to ISKCON temple, I'm not familiar with the Archvigra avatar and the other avatars beside Shri Krishna's inside the temple. Can you please enlighten me or tell me a little bit more about, because there's no name who they are and how do I refer them? And I'm always confused. I know Shri Krishna over there, but I don't know the other Archvigra avatars beside Krishna. Can you please tell me a little bit more about those?
Yes. So actually on this picture, I don't know how zoomed in this picture is, but if we're able to zoom out on the picture above Lord Krishna's head on the arch, his name is there. See, their names are there. Shri Shri Radha. Prabhu, you able to zooming on the name? No. Oh, okay, there we go. Shri Shri Radha Kirchor Gopinath. So there's a whole Leela about a Gopinath who stole Kheer for his devotee.
What about others on right side?
Let me finish there. Yeah, I'll get to that. So there's a whole Leela of one form of Krishna known as Gopinath who stole Kheer for his devotee. So these deities here in Toronto are named after those deities in Remuna in Orissa in India. So they're called Shri Shri Radha Kirchor Gopinath. Now on the left side of Gopinath, there are two forms there known as Chaitanya and Nityananda. So their name is written on the top, just like here. Shri Shri Gauda Nitai. So Gauda is Lord Gauranga, and Lord Gauranga is a combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. And he appeared, he's also known as hidden avatar, a hidden incarnation of the Lord. He appeared over 500 years ago in West Bengal, and he came to introduce this Sankirtan movement of chanting the names of the Lord. So it's explained. So here is Gaur Nitai, and their names on top, Shri Shri Gauda and Nitai. So Gauda is Lord Krishna, and Nitai is Lord Balaram. So these are forms of Krishna and Balaram in a different Leela, in a different time that they incarnated, and different Leela that they performed. And then on the far right, any questions about Gaur Nitai, Prabhu?
Pretty clear. Please carry on, please.
Yes, and then on the right side of Radhakirchur Gopinath, we have Shri, on the top, the name is there, Shri Balaram, Shri Jagannath, and Srimati Subhadra Maharani. So these are forms of Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram, and Subhadra, their sister. So we know the Leela, the pastime of Lord Krishna appearing over 5,000 years ago in Vrindavan, along with his brother Balaram, which is his first expansion, and Subhadra is his sister, which is the external form of the Lord, known as Mahamaya. So they appeared, Krishna and Balaram appeared in Vrindavan. Actually, they all appeared in Vrindavan, including Subhadra. So then Subhadra, this baby, when Lord Krishna was born in the prison cell of Kamsa, he was taken to Vrindavan. And Nanda Maharaj's wife, Yashoda Mai, she had a baby. She actually had twins. She had a male and a female baby. So the male baby is Lord Krishna, and female baby is Mahamaya. So when Lord Krishna Swayam Bhagavan came from Mathura with his father Vasudev, and Vasudev handed the baby Krishna to Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj took baby Krishna into the room, and he placed Krishna on the bed, and that Krishna, that Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, merged in with the other Krishna that appeared as Yashoda Mai's son. And then she also had twins. She had a daughter, Mahamaya, and he took Mahamaya back to Mathura. And then Kamsa came to kill the baby, and it was a girl, and she's, everyone knows the Leela. She slipped out of his hand, flew up into the sky, and told him he was a fool, that his killer was born elsewhere, meaning Lord Krishna. So this is Subhadra. So later on, when things were safe, when Krishna and Balaram moved from Vrindavan, they moved to Dwarka, then Mahamaya in the form of Subhadra came back to be the sister that she was originally meant to be. So the reason why Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra has this particular form. Did somebody say something?
No, carry on, Prabhu, carry on.
Yeah, the reason why they have this particular form, there was one story of a king. It's a very long story, so I won't tell the entire story this time, but he had asked a carver to carve forms of Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra, because there was forms of them found in Bhubaneswar in India that were installed by Lord Brahma and worshipped by Lord Brahma. So he wanted to have similar forms of the Lord, and he asked a carver to carve, and the carver had asked him that the carver agreed to carve the forms of the Lord. He said, but I don't want you to interrupt me. I will go in a closed room and I will be there for a number of weeks. And no matter what, even if you don't hear anything happening, don't disturb me. And so at some point, the king stopped hearing chiseling and hammering and etc. And he became impatient and he opened the door, and the carver was in there. And this is as far as he had gotten in carving the Lord. And so he fulfilled his promise that if you disturb me, I will leave. And so he was disturbed, so he left, and the form of the Lord was left like this. So the king thought, okay, this is the Lord's mercy. This is what he wanted. Nothing happens by accident. There is a plan behind everything that happens. And so this is the Lord's desire. He wanted to look like this. So the king had the deities then brought out and installed, and they were worshipped like this ever since. So you can find forms of the Lord of Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra in Jagannath Puri, in Orissa, in India. And this form of their lordships have been worshipped like this ever since.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for clearing me this. Thank you.
Pragya?
Yes, Mataji. Pragya Mataji? I can't. Okay.
Sorry, my mouse was not accessible. Prabhuji, thank you so much for your clarification and guidance. I was just having this picture, if I could so show off Radha Krishna Sri Radha Ras Bihari Ji ISKCON Juhu, Mumbai. This is the picture I had gone.
I recognize that.
Offering prasad. Okay, so I just I understand that I am also very new to the ISKCON association, so I'm in my very initial stages of learning. So I seek pardon for using the word it and the sculpture.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm just learning. So I just wanted to know one thing about that. These deities in different temples have different names. Like we have this Kheer Chor in Toronto and Radha Rasbihari Ji in Juhu ISKCON. And why is that so? And sometimes the deity is in black form. Sometimes it is in the deity is in white form. And so just wanted to understand that. And the other thing is that in our homes in India, we have these the deities of Krishna in different forms, even in fridge magnets and on our bookshelves and also in the temple, the altar. So is it disrespectful? Should we not have them there? And if we have them there, then are we supposed to knock and enter every room? Because they are there everywhere. So in every room, in some form, we have their presence. So is it right or wrong? Just wanted to understand. Thank you.
So depending on the mood of the Lord, he appeared in different forms at different time in different ways. So we see in the mood of the favorite or the loving son of Nanda Maharaj, he's known as Nanda Nandana. Krishna is known as Nanda Nandana, the son of Nanda, or Yashoda Nandana, the son of Mother Yashoda, or Devaki Nandana, or Vasudev, right? So like this, the Lord, depending on his lila or depending on his mood, he is known by different names, right? So in the form of the Lord in Toronto Temple, he's known as Kheer Chor Gopinath because he stole kheer from his his own, like it was an offering to him. He just hid it aside from the pujari so that he can give it to his devotee, who is
He
not the
still-
pujari.
He still does it.
Yes. So, or he did the same thing. Sometimes he's known as Makanchor. He steals butter from the gopis, but this is just the pleasure potency of the Lord. He is doing these different things so that he can mingle with or associate with his devotees in different ways, right? Sometimes if we read the 10th canto, we will find that when Lord Krishna goes out with the cowherd boys, they will play like frogs and they will jump around, or the boys will jump on Krishna's back, or Krishna will jump on the boys' back, or like that, or the boys are massaging Krishna's lotus feet, or Krishna is stealing the gopis' outfits. So different ways the Lord interacts with his devotees. And so sometimes when he's interacting, he's known by different names, but it's the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes his hue, his skin color will look different, but in the scripture it mentions that Krishna's color, the color of Shamsundar, which is the original form of the Supreme Lord, we know that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Krishna that's sitting in the cart, in the chariot, is known as Vasudev Krishna. And when Krishna was speaking to Arjuna, and Arjuna was saying, "Oh Krishna, how do you know all these things?" And Krishna was teaching him about the soul and the journey of the soul, etc., etc. Everything, the eightfold processes of yoga, all these different things that Krishna was teaching Arjuna. He was confused, and he was asking Arjuna, asked him, "How do you know all of this?" And so that Krishna says, so Krishna, at one point, Krishna showed him the universal form. I don't want to get into more of it, but anyway, Krishna showed him the universal form. And when Arjuna saw, because Krishna had told Arjuna, all these kings are already dead, and you're only an instrument in my hand. And when Krishna showed him the form, he saw all the soldiers rushing into Krishna's mouth, and they're being crushed by his teeth. So that doesn't mean that God is eating them, but it's just showing him this ghastly external form of material nature and how things happen in material nature. So Arjuna became scared, and Arjuna said, "Lord, I cannot look at this form anymore. Show me your original form." And when Arjuna asked him to show him his original form, Krishna showed him the threefold bending form of Shamsundar. So Arjuna asked a specific question, "Show me your original form." So Krishna's original form is this threefold bending form of Shamsundar in Goloka Vrindavan. Not Vasudev Krishna sitting on the chariot. So it's explained in our scriptures that the original form of the Lord, his color is like the color of a fresh rain cloud. So if you were to go outside and you look at the fresh rain cloud, you will see that the clouds are very, very dark. They're not blue, they're not white, but they're very dark. So that is the color of Krishna. So depending on the instant or the situation or the lila, the Lord will take whatever color he wants. He might be a blue color like the sky, or a dark color like the fresh rain cloud, or a white color like Lord Balaram, which is none other than Lord Krishna. So he will take whatever form he likes for the pleasure of his devotees. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "Janma karma chame devyam evam yo iti tatvataha tyakta deham punarjanma naiti mamiti so Arjuna." He said, "One who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, return to this material world, but come to my transcendental abode, O Arjuna." So Krishna Our duty is to understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance and his activities, and not become bewildered by it, but become awed and amused by and amazed by it. Was there another part of your question, Mataji, or did that answer all of it?
Thank you, Prabhuji. I was just asking that we have various in our home. So is it respectful?
Yes. So yeah, I remember as you started speaking. Yes. So there's no harm in having different pictures in different parts of the house. There's nothing wrong at all, because we want to have a relationship with the Lord. So because the Lord's form is not different than the Lord himself, when we have pictures on the fridge or whatever, Krishna is also in the kitchen. Krishna is also in the living room, also in the dining room. But couple of places that we should avoid keeping pictures is in a bathroom or in our bedroom. Because sometimes in our bedroom, we change our clothes and we're not very careful of our states of undress. So we don't want to be presenting ourselves in front of the Lord in an undressed state. So for that reason, we should keep any pictures or whatever out of the bedroom, or definitely not in a bathroom. So we shouldn't take our japamala with us in the bathroom. If we're wearing a t-shirt that has a picture of Lord Krishna on it, or Harinam Chadar that has the name of the Lord is not different than Lord Krishna himself. So when we say Krishna, Krishna is here. We might not see him with these material eyes. Arjun couldn't see Krishna, so he said, I'll give you Divya Chakshu, I'll give you divine eyes, so you can see me. So Krishna, when Krishna came as Shanti Dut in the court of the Kauravas, and Duryodhan tried to arrest Krishna, and Krishna assumed his Virat Roop, no one could see him except for the two Mahajans in the room. And who are the two Mahajans? Anyone know who those two Mahajans were?
Bhishma and Vidura?
Yes. Yeah. So Vidura is, as we know, is Yamaraj. So Yamaraj and Bhishma Dev were in the room, and also the Pandavas and Kauravas guru, Dronacharya. Those were the only ones who could see him. No one else could see his true form. I mean, blind Dhritarashtra saw a bright light, even though he was blind, and he didn't know what that was. So there was a reaction from him. So as long as we understand the transcendental nature and appearance of the Lord, then we will understand the Lord, and he appeared for that reason. So yes, when we can have pictures everywhere, because we are trying to develop a relationship, but we should show respect as well, right? So showing respect is not having, like I said, in the bathroom, where he can see different, where we present ourselves in undressed situation, or take a picture of the Lord on our shirt, or the name of the Lord, which is not different than him, in the bathroom. Or even if we're wearing a Harinam Chadar and we're sitting on the floor, we should be careful that we're not sitting on his name. So we should be very cognizant of everything that we do, right? Don't be careless in how we perform our devotional service. We should be very deliberate and careful in how we do it. And if we're deliberate and careful, then we will get maximum benefit that is available for doing devotional service. If we're not very careful or very cognizant, then we will not get the desired result, right? If we're standing in front of the Lord in the temple and we're keeping within our mind bad feelings and malice for others, we will not get the benefit of being in his presence.
Last question from Sonam, unless Bhaktiyoga Prabhu has more time.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, my question is regarding the story of Lord Jagannath. There's another story which I have heard that after the Mahabharat war, when Lord Krishna, so it is said that Lord Jagannath is actually Lord Krishna's heart.
Yes.
So
Yes.
everything got burnt except his heart, and this heart actually went in Lord Jagannath. So I think that is why Lord Jagannath is very merciful. He has big eyes, and he has like so much of mercy for his devotees. So I just wanted to understand what is the story behind the heart, and how did the heart land into Lord Jagannath?
So this is a story we hear from locals when we go to Orissa. We go to, and that story has been perpetuated outwards from there. That and I heard that story recently. We had a devotee visit ISKCON Milton 2 weeks ago, and he's from Orissa, and he was speaking about Jagannath, and he mentioned that story. The thing is this Prabhupada didn't teach us that, and they're saying that when I don't even want to say it because it sounds a bit offensive, the way the story goes, but the Lord is transferred usually by Brahmins by the method that I mentioned earlier into the vigraha of a form of the Lord, and that's how it's done. So and that's how we will keep it, because that's what Srila Prabhupada taught us. Not that Krishna's heart was left behind and put into Jagannath and all of this. That I never heard that from Prabhupada or any acharya in our line of the Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnavas or any other legitimate recognized sampradayas. I haven't heard that. So we hear, even when we go to Vrindavan, we also hear many different stories of Lord Krishna that is not there in scripture. So is it Siddhanta or not is what we need to be careful about. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, I've given you everything you need to know. Everything are in my books. You don't need to go to anyone else or any other books. They are there. So regarding Krishna, Balarama, and Subhadra in Vrindavan, in Kurukshetra, yes, Krishna, when he left Vrindavan, he had promised the gopis didn't want him to go. When Akrura came to take him, they didn't want him to go. And he promised them that he will come back. And he never did. From Mathura, he went to Dwarka. So when the gopis found out that he was in Kurukshetra, they came there, and when they arrived in Kurukshetra, the war was over, and Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra were in their own rats, their own chariots, and they were about to leave for Dwarka. And the gopis reminded Krishna that he promised to come back, and they were determined to bring him back. So they started dragging these 3 rats from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. And so this is the Leela, or the pastime, or the beginning of Rath Yatra, where Jagannath, who is Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra, were pulled from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. Anything else?
Everybody, if you learned anything, even if it is tiny, thank Bhaktiyoga Prabhu for his valuable time and giving us his association. Everybody, please thank Bhaktiyoga Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Prabhu.
Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Prabhu.
One last thing I want to say, that if you don't remember anything from today, if you just remember this one thing, whatever shloka you read, whatever you learn from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, etc., if you try to internalize it, understand it, and put it into practice, then your lives will become successful. So if you just remember only that from today, that would be great. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Pitana Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
All of you Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.